This is the Count FC114ASP strike perf creasing and numbering machine. There are 4 different modes. First mode is the perf mode. Once you push that, it'll ask you about the paper length. Your standard paper, which is 8.5 by 11 or an A4, is going to be under 250 millimeters. So you would select that for your standard piece of paper. Anything over that would go to a long. Here's your pump button, which turns on the pump. Your run button, which starts the machine running. And then when you're running, you would push the feed button to use the vacuum controlled feeder, or the stream button to just stream feed using vacuum. They have a batch count on this. When it says on, it is actually turned off. You'll select what you want for the batch. Press enter, then turn it on, then press accept. To turn it off, you will push the off button. Accept. This is jog forward button, makes the rollers run towards the exiting side of the machine. This is jog reverse button, which runs the rollers towards the feeding side of the machine. This is count reset, which just resets the counter. The feed delay buttons, when increasing this number, what that does is that slows the feeding down by using the vacuum while it feeds the sheets through. Instead of feeding them very closely to each other, these are in tenths of a second, so it would wait 7/10 of a second before the next sheet is fed through. The next mode we're looking at is the crease mode. If you notice, there's still the 2 different sizes of sheets, and that's for the vacuum. We have 11 different types of creases available: the half fold, tri-fold, Z-fold, letter fold, roll, gate, double parallel, and 3 different perfect binds available. The next mode is going to be the strike perf mode. When you accept there, your first number will always have to be greater than 55 millimeters. That is default for the machine. You will always have to put that in. If you do not put 55 millimeters in and you try and put something smaller in, it will give you an error. So your start number will always have to be at 55. That's where the perforator will raise, and then on the next number is where it comes right back down. Press accept, and you can see that we still have our standard run screen. Down here in the bottom corner, if you were to push that, it allows you to adjust where you want your perf to raise and then come back down. The next mode we have is numbering mode. You have 12 different locations that you can program each numbering head for, or if you want, both numbering heads can hit at the same location. On the FC114ASP, in here are our forwarding rollers. The upper ones are called gripper rollers. The lower rollers are called lower forwarding rollers. This here is a large paper hold down to help paper slide underneath the crease bar. This across here, this round shaft, is called the eccentric shaft. That eccentric shaft presses on the compression brackets that push down on the upper crease die. Here, this first sensor is used for the strike perf and for the crease bar. The second yellow sensor over here is used for the numbering heads. These are our block brackets for the numbering heads. This metal strip that you're seeing down below across the strike plate is called a paper hold down. These long ones are used to keep the sheet underneath the numbering heads as they go through. Up above, these 2 connectors right here are for the strike perf assemblies. These 2 right here are for the numbering heads. These 2 black connectors are the electrical charge needed for the numbering heads. Here on the other side of the cover, you see the pressure regulator gauge, and here's our pressure regulator. These are factory set, so you will not have to change these. When you receive your new FC114A, you'll have two boxes like this and this yellow package. The two boxes are the numbering heads. When you open those up, you'll find a numbering head that is wrapped in bubble wrap. You'll be able to pull that off. And you'll have two numbering heads just like this. Here's the care package when you open that up. This is a special strike perf version of the FC114A. This will have the new strike perf assembly inside it. When you open that up, the bags are going to use. This is the strike perf assembly, the upper strike perf. Inside the care package you will find a ruler, your ink cartridges, extra marbles for lighter stocks, a wheel pick, all tools needed to make adjustments on the machine, the power cord for the machine, your instruction manual, and test sheets. In the care package you will find the power cord. One end of course goes to the wall. This square end will go here into this block. You'll plug the other end into the wall, and here's your main power supply switch. Every FC114A comes with 4 tools for making any adjustments that you need to make on the machine. Starting with our largest 3/16, the next size down is the 5/32. After that is the 1/8, and then there's the 3/32. The machine also comes with a built-in tool holder for these tools. The FC114ASP does need an external compressor or house compressed air to run the pneumatic heads and the pneumatic perforating assembly. Here I'm going to adjust for thicker stock, so I'm going to move my vacuum pickup point with the T-knob that's on the side of the table and pull this back until I can see the holes in the here. We'll lock it in place, and now I'm going to unlock here and adjust my paper caliper out to there. Lock that in place, and I will adjust my paper caliper so that it stops one sheet from going through to there. That is for thicker stocks. On thinner stocks, you will unlock this, rotate this all the way in, lock it back up, and move your vacuum pickup point to the front. There are 2 handles underneath the feed table, clearly marked. This one here increases or decreases the pressure going to the feed rail. The other, that's marked as vacuum, increases or decreases the amount of vacuum being pulled through the vacuum wheel on the feed table. On the back side of the feed table, there is an extension plate allowing you to run longer sheets. To get to that, there are 2 knobs. You will loosen them, bring the table around, and tighten your knobs, and it will lock in place. To put it back, you will loosen your knobs, move the air hose out of the way, tighten your knobs back up. The FC114A has an emergency stop button that at any time if there is a paper jam or any other kind of emergency where you need to stop the machine immediately. All you have to do is push this red knob in. You'll see the screen turns right off. At that point, you can manually move the rollers to remove any paper that may have jammed. When you turn this knob to turn the machine back on, it always comes back onto the original home screen. The optical sensors on the FC114A use a piece of reflective tape down below. As you can see, there's a red dot. If these pieces of reflective tape are blocked by a piece of paper or some other type of debris, the creasing, numbering, or strike perf capabilities will not work. Please make sure that those pieces of reflective tape are always clear of paper and debris. All our creasers have an easy to change lower crease die, which have two sides to it. A thin side for any paper below 9 point paper. Anything above 9 point paper, you'll want to use the wider side. If there is a paper jam under the crease bar, to remove the paper that is jammed in there, you'll need to remove this long paper hold down. To do so, there are two thumb screws, one on each side, that you will turn counterclockwise for it to loosen, and you will raise the paper hold down out of the way, allowing you access to the crease bar. Once you clear the jam, return the paper hold down into position. And tighten the screws. The FC114ASP comes with two perf assemblies. This is your standard manual rotary perf, and then it also comes with a pneumatic upper perf assembly for the strike perf. Installing the strike perf assembly, you will slide it down, give it a little twist, and tighten the set screw that is on the back side, making sure that your blade is coming down in the center of the chromoly hub. After installing the upper strike perf assembly, you will plug the hose connector into either one or two. There are two assemblies or two hose connectors, because you can actually purchase a second perf assembly for the machine. When having to rearrange the rollers to move the perforator from side to side or into the center, the first thing you'll need to do is remove all upper assemblies. The next step is to loosen all the lower assemblies, and to do so, you'll need to jog your bar around to bring the set screws to the top. All lower assemblies have a brass tip set screw that need to stay in there. You cannot change that to any regular set screw. So at this point I am going to loosen by just barely turning half a turn on each of these so that they are loose and move freely on the bar. When it comes to cleaning the numbering heads, our ink is an oil-based ink, so using any water-based degreaser like Simple Green is the best thing you can use to clean off the ink, and it should be done if the head is going to be sitting any more than 2 to 3 days. Clean the ink off using the water-based degreaser and an old toothbrush to scrub the wheels off. Then after that, blow off the excess ink and liquid, and using 3-in-1 oil, put a couple of drips between each one of the numbers, rotate them by hand so that that oil gets mixed around in there, and then blow off the excess. With that, the head is now ready for storage. When you get a new ink cartridge, the inkwell itself is still sealed. What you'll need to do is use a utility knife, pop the pad out, cut a small slit in this side of the inkwell, twist the blade a little bit, and do another slit over on this side as well. See how the ink is starting to pour out? Once that's done, go ahead and put the pad back in, and the ink cartridge is now ready for about 25,000 strikes. On our standard pneumatic numbering heads, you can drop, they're all 7-wheel, and you can drop up to 3 of the wheels. You'll move these wheels over to the number 9, go about halfway over, and pull back. Now the only thing that will print are these last 3 digits. These 4 can no longer print. On the face, we have our repeat selector. This allows us, if we're at 0, every time the head hits, it does not change. If it's on 1, every time the head hits, it changes. If it's on 2, the head has to strike 2 times, then it will change. If it's on 3, the head has to strike 3 times, then it will change. This is the exiting paper hold down. It needs to go close, but not underneath the numbering head. When using the KF200 with another machine, you will just roll whichever machine it is up to about 1 inch close to the table. Any closer and you're risking hurting the black rollers on the other machine. So you'll roll it in to where it's touching the non-operator side frame, and that's exactly where it'll go. Alright, setting up the register guide. The amount of marbles that you use depends on the size of the sheet. You want to have this portion empty so that the sheet can slide out of the machine and be at the last set of rollers by the time it gets to the first marble. If the sheet is longer, you'll remove more marbles. If the sheet is shorter, you'll add more marbles. This here is the bypass tray. Has 2 clips on there. We put the top one in first, lift it up, and then drop it down. And that's to catch paper as it's not being folded. Here we go to put the delivery in place. There are two hooks there, and there's a chrome bar that has two notches cut out on them. Drop it in place and push it all the way to the left of the notches. You'll raise it up slightly and drop the legs into the slots. That one went, nope. Here's the electrical cord for it. Plugs right in there. This is a controlled delivery. So these are the catch wheels. You'll slide them into place depending on the thickness and the type of fold you're using. Here at the back side, or the front side of the table, there's a sensor that runs the belts. The speed of the belts is adjusted by this knob here on the side. Inside these valves, inside the knobs, there's an adjustment. These are the three parts that are in them. There's the plastic portion, the spring, and the metal piece. That's the pressure side. On the vacuum side, it will go metal piece, spring, plastic. They are opposite of each other. All three pieces need to be in the housing, or that knob has no adjustment and will not work at all. This is your touchscreen controller for the KF200. This is for auto setups, manual. This is to repeat the last job that you're running when you come back. And this is our bypass mode. Bypass mode is used for when you're not folding and you're just going to send sheets through so that they land on the bypass table down below. Manual setup is for manually setting up each fold in the custom locations that you need. Repeat auto setup allows us to choose from these different folds. We're going to do a half fold. You need to know the thickness of your paper in the gram weight. And then you'll adjust your rollers with each one of these. This is your first knob right here, meaning your first pinch roller. Second knob, meaning your second pinch roller. Both of those need to be set at 0 for the thickness of paper we're using right now. Once you make those adjustments, press there. You'll start to measure. And the sheet comes out on the lower tray. Press accept. Now we're ready to run. Bypass mode allows you to use the machine as a large controlled delivery if you are not actually folding sheets. By running bypass mode, the sheet will run continuously through the machine and land on the bypass tray, which is below the controlled delivery. Using the manual setup button, you can manually set each position for each fold blade if you're doing a custom fold job. To set that position for fold blade number 1, you'll press this button right here, add your number in millimeters to the location of the first fold, press enter, and you will do the same for the second fold. After that, you can press the accept, and then the run screen will come up. If you want, you can always go back, reset these numbers, and use the memory save button and have 4 different save locations, so you can save up to 4 different type of custom jobs for your machine. To adjust a fold, You can push the adjust button and you can move the first or the second fold up or down the sheet by pushing these buttons here. If you make an adjustment to the first one and the second fold is in the correct place, so if I adjust here, I will need to go down to the second one and adjust back here. To run the last job that was on the machine, all you have to do is come back to the repeat last job, push that, and you're now ready to run. If there is a jam and you open the cover, if you notice, the screen automatically changes to an emergency screen. There are no other buttons that can be pushed except for the jog buttons that will allow the rollers to be moved in either direction, allowing you to help clear a jam. Underneath the cover, you'll see right here is the sensor that is triggered by the piece of paper. Right now there are two lights on, an orange light and a green light. The green light is the power light. When the sensor is triggered, the orange light goes off. So this is important to know when doing troubleshooting. If the machine is not folding paper, you'll want to look at the sensor to see if the orange light is triggered or not. In the unfortunate event that there is a jam and you have to stop the machine, you can go down here to the fold blade control button and go to this page here. This will allow you to manually move the rollers in either direction, to jog the rollers in either direction, or to move the blade.